Nick and Alice. Reminds me of Bob and Carolyn, Ted and Alice. I wonder if they, that which is a great late '60s movie, I think. I wonder if they took inspiration from that. Either way, this is totally random, but the last point I'll make though, just like because I was looking through his filmography, just because I wrote kind of a brief feature piece on him this week on Grabinski, was he's got large gaps between his movies. He was a writer on the movie, which again, this is another movie that I don't think like 20 people saw. I did though. It was called Skip Trace with Jackie Chan and Johnny Knoxville. And then he went like 5 years between that, and then like 5 years between that to do Mike and Nick. And he was doing Scott Pilgrim at the time. I think one of the reasons though that like I was reading like just stuff that he's worked on. He was one of the writers, and I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, and I feel like you would know this, Joe, or even you too, Dom. He was one of the writers on the prospective Adventure Time movie. I don't think they ever made one, did they?
They made specials on HBO. That's about it. But I don't think he's attached to them right now because I'm going through his whole thing.
He worked on the script for the actual movie, the theatrical movie that they were planning, and that never came to fruition. And I think that probably took like 2 or 3 years away from him, which sucks. That probably happens to writers and directors more than we know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if they zero in on a project that ultimately just doesn't go anywhere. But I'd be interested. This thing is set up for a sequel, too. This thing is set up for a sequel in so many words, and I don't want to... there would only be one Nick in the sequel, but there would be 2 of another character.
Yeah.
But we'll segue here, I guess, briefly. I don't think we'll have a ton to say. I don't even know what the hell I want to say. But we've made a running joke on this show that we're always a week or two late to our anniversary.
Live and online, it's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday evening, 6:30 Central Time, and the movie we're talking about tonight is alive and full of living color. It is the Super Mario Galaxy movie, the sequel
to the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out back in 2023, which we reviewed on this show as well. So we are touching on the Super Mario Galaxy movie today. This is the second movie, too, in this series, which I can imagine over under right now. How many movies of these are they going to make? 8, 9?
Probably.
I really don't see. I see this cash cow. I see this going very, very long.
If we're counting spinoffs, this is gonna be a long franchise.
I saw something. Are they making a Donkey Kong spinoff?
They might be. I think I know what the Untitled movie is, but we'll get to it in our review. I mean, it was pretty obvious when watching it. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be the next movie.
Mr. Game & Watch.
Rob the Robot.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want to jump the gun or anything, but my only guess for why Donkey Kong doesn't really do much or really isn't in any of these movies, I wonder if they're saving him for his own thing. It was like a fleeting thought watching this movie. But
Yeah,
we're
maybe.
we're reviewing rather, not touching on the Super Mario Galaxy movie today. Next week, since there were two pretty big movies that come out this weekend too. Next weekend we're going to be next week at a time TBD. Given an engagement on my part, next week's show we're going to review The Drama with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, and I am very excited for that review. I know Joe is as well.
I'm chomping at the bit to talk about that movie.
This is going to be a fun review. Have you seen it yet, Dom, or not yet?
No, I have not. I hear it goes pretty off the rails.
Yeah, it is a great theater experience, especially if you get a good crowd. It's a great theater experience. It's a great movie, and I don't want to say too much more other than that. It'll definitely lead to some great discussion too. But yeah, back to back, early April releases coming out the gate here. And Super Mario Galaxy movie made over $130 million domestically too this Easter weekend. So there's a good chance you saw it. There's a good chance you brought kids to it. Did either of you? I bet Dom's smart. He probably didn't. Did Joe? Did you opt for a Yoshi popcorn bucket at AMC? Did you get one?
No, I didn't. No, I got enough Nintendo shit in my house. I don't need any more.
I got one for my buddy. My buddy wanted one. And so I bought one. And let me tell you, you've seen the thing, right, in person?
Yeah, the egg and everything.
Yeah, it's Yoshi sitting and holding an egg. Let me tell you, carrying that thing around the theater, like it's like lugging a child. I don't know if that's their biggest popcorn bucket. I don't know if it is. I think the Fantastic Four one was pretty large too.
The Galactus one is still the biggest one.
Is that still the biggest?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured as much because the monkey one was pretty big too. But that Yoshi one, like that one was like lugging around a toddler.
I think what it is the Galactus one's the biggest one because of how tall it is, but the heaviest one I think is the monkey one or the Yoshi.
It's gotta be. It's got to be. I would even reckon because of that drum, I would think the monkey might even be heavier.
Yeah.
It's just the Yoshi one's like an odd oblong shape. That's part of it too.
Yeah.
Either way, we're not here to talk about popcorn buckets, but I do want to bring that up nonetheless too.
When you put your hand in the bucket, it just plays "This Is America."
Bonfire starts playing. It's just like, oh, I can't play that in the theater.
2 more weeks, I get my Michael Jackson blanket too. I'm excited for that.
There you go.
2 more weeks, I get my commemorative blanket for the Michael movie. The Super Mario Galaxy movie. That is our film today. We will get to it in just a few minutes. First things first. Joe, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really good. Had a very busy weekend due to the holiday. It's why I actually was like, I'm going to opt to get both movies out of the way. Thursday night, I went to go see The Drama. Sold out theater. Very surprised that was a thing. And this wasn't like a theater that only had like 4 rows and like that was it. It was like, no, this was like in a medium-sized theater and it was sold out. There was people sitting in the front row. I can't wait to share with you guys in the green room after about the experience I had though in that theater. So I was like, let me get this out of the way because I know it's gonna be busy this week and next week I kind of just want to relax. So Friday, I worked all day basically, and Friday night I had to go do some stuff around the house to get ready for Easter. Saturday, from basically 8 in the morning till about 9 o'clock at night, I was out and about. And that's when I saw Super Mario because a friend of mine, her sister, had a private screening for her birthday to go see the Super Mario Brothers movie. So it was like, okay, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's like I go out, I get a bunch of stuff done. On the way home, I'll stop off, see the movie, go get dinner with them afterwards, knock it out. And then Sunday was Easter. So very busy weekend. So I'm looking forward to getting to this next weekend where I can actually just sit down on the couch and watch some TV.
Lucky you. How about you, Dom? How are you doing, man?
I'm doing A-okay. It's going to be busy. I am going up to next weekend. I'm going to Minneapolis for a video game music convention. So I'm looking very excited about, not this weekend, but the following weekend. So I'm very excited about that. That should be fun. Going with a couple of friends and going to take some photos and we're going to see what's up. Because it's a good time. It's funny because I have a few journalist friends and they're like, yeah, I'm going up to Minneapolis. And they're like, holy shit. Is shit going down? No. It's for a convention.
Pleasure, not business.
I had the tickets.
Is that VGM?
It is VGM. Yes.
Okay.
I should have said it. Yes.
I've always wanted to go to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of music. It's going to be I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be a lot of similar songs. but done in different ways. So
look forward to recap on that, man. Take a bunch of pictures and stuff. Have a good time and safe travels as well.
For sure. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Speaking of video games and stuff, we will talk about the Super Mario Galaxy movie. This movie is a sequel, as I mentioned, to the Super Mario Brothers movie back in 2023. And I probably opined it in the review on Sleepless, but I know I did it on my review at stevepulaski.com. In my review of the original movie, which I was pretty positive on, was fairly positive, I would say, I thought that, and I was correct in assuming this, I don't know if this is going to have a lot of staying power. It's a pretty thin movie to begin with. Not to say it wouldn't be a success, not to say that it wouldn't be, appreciated by its target audience, but I thought that it's just thin for what it is. I don't see this as being like an enduring work of animation or something we go back when we're in the 2030s and we're talking about animation of the last decade or animated movies. I think we're going to be quicker to remember Spider-Verse and some other movies faster than the Super Mario Brothers movie. But I opined that I would hope that this was more of a trial run and a sequel or sequels would maybe take a little bit more narrative risk. And that is not the Super Mario Galaxy movie, unfortunately, too. This is a movie that, and I really think we don't talk enough about how catastrophic both the final product and the outcome and the everlasting effect of that atrocity that was the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie, the Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo movie, because Nintendo had not licensed their properties to be made into movies. For 25 years after that, it wasn't until Detective Pikachu came out that Nintendo actually gave another studio the rights to make a movie on their characters. And then that kind of proved to be the trial run for the Super Mario Brothers movie and now this sequel. And I think after that, which was a fascinating failure on all fronts, the 93 Mario Brothers movie, though, it's now made Nintendo so protective over Super Mario on the big screen that we are going to get movies that are a lot like this, that are chock-a-block of Easter eggs, familiar characters, about 6 different subplots as opposed to one plot, and a lot of colorful kaleidoscopic fireworks. And that's really what this movie boils down to in so many words. Joe, I'll start with you. Where do you want to take Super Mario Galaxy?
Super Mario Galaxy is amazing. It's one of the best things I have ever played. Super Mario Galaxy the movie is not that. It might be it's not the worst video game movie I've seen, but man, does it come close at times for me. And it's not because it's insultingly bad, but it is so blatant that this is just a commercial. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people said that about the first one. But what I can say about that first one is hey, there's at least a story. Mario goes through an arc. Luigi goes through an arc. Everybody has a bit of an arc to go through. There is a beginning, middle, and end. There's an end goal. They need to defeat Bowser before he gets this golden star that will make him super powerful and everything. To do that, they need to go across the Mushroom Kingdom and recruit allies. And along the way, there's awesome action scenes and a lot of great Easter eggs that don't distract from the movie. They're just like in there, and if you catch them, you catch them. Some great jokes here and there. Jack Black as Bowser absolutely killed it with especially the Peaches song, which was probably like the thing that the movie is most known for. Overall, I enjoy that movie. I go, you know what? For a Mario movie, this is about as much as I can hope that they were going to be like, as safe with, but actually give us something in an attempt. And I think I gave it 2.5 out of 3 stars when we reviewed it. Over time, I would give it maybe I would probably get that other half star on there and give it 3 stars. Because I've ended up rewatching it a couple times with family, friends, and being like, you know what, it is a very fun movie. And I was genuinely excited for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I wasn't like hyped around it or anything, but like the idea of taking the visuals from the game and doing them on a movie scale, I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Because the animation in the first movie I thought was pretty good. And so far the trailers all looked great. And I was like, man, this movie looks gorgeous. I can't wait to see it. And they're going for more orchestral scores this time around, of taking any of the older Mario songs, because Super Mario Galaxy, I believe, was the first of the Mario games that actually got like an orchestral soundtrack to it. Now, I mean, like, the Mario games all have iconic theme music to them, but they actually did not have like an orchestral like band perform for them and everything. So to actually hear stuff like from Sunshine and other games that has like an orchestral like reversion of it, that's pretty cool. And looking at everything and seeing the trailers, I was like, man, I can't wait to see this. And I sit down, and the first third of this movie happens, and I go, you know what? I'm really digging like how they're setting up the pieces here. Okay, they're introducing Rosalina. That's a big character. I really like how they're doing this. All right, what's gonna come next? And what's gonna come next is they don't even know, because they're writing this movie as they go. I am not kidding you when like there are multiple times in this movie that you think a conflict is about to happen and the characters just walk around it. Not literally walk around it. I mean like walk around it like by talking or just avoiding it entirely. There is literally a scene where Mario, Luigi, Bowser, and Yoshi crash on a planet. And you're like, oh man, how are they going to get out of this one? 2 minutes later, they're off the planet. It's not that big of a deal. There's a scene where they're being arrested by an alien species of bees, and you're like, "Oh no, what's gonna happen to them, man? How are they gonna break out of this situation?" It's fine. Bowser's just gonna take the fall for them. He is, but he's Bowser. Why would he do that? All right, how's Bowser gonna get out of this? Like, he's gonna go, "Oh, he already broke out. He literally was just there for 30 seconds. Okay, all right, whatever. Okay, Peach needs to do that's done too." The movie is literally just that. Anytime a conflict is introduced, it is resolved within at least 1 to 2 minutes later. There's this grand conflict of them having to go rescue Princess Rosalina, who is basically the equivalent to Princess Peach, but in space. Instead of, Princess Peach watches over the Toads, the little mushroom guys in the Mario games. She watches over these star creatures called Lumas. Probably should throw that on the screen. Otherwise, I'm gonna sound like I'm already sounding like a nerd. But I mean, I might as well have something to back it up with. So like she's up there.
Steve Dreads.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, all right, that's weird. Rosalina is like a major character in the game. You got a pretty big voice actor to play her too. I was kind of hoping this character would be explored some more, and she's only in it for about 2 scenes. But you know who's in it a whole ton? Somebody that's not even in the Mario movies. And then granted, had they not promote this character before the movie even came out, I would have been like, all right, I won't ruin that during this review. But to show you how much of a commercial this is, and I'll pass it off to Dom, because I can just keep ranting here, but that will go on way too long. For some reason, Nintendo's like, hey, you know who should definitely be in the Mario movie? Fox McCloud from a whole different gaming franchise called Star Fox. Has nothing to do with Mario. The only time these two intersect is when they beat the crap out of each other in Super Mario Brothers. Super Smash Brothers. And for some reason, they decided to throw him in here, which is when I was talking about earlier that there's an untitled Nintendo movie. It's definitely the Star Fox movie. He's going to get a new game later this year. They're going to amp it up for the new movie to come out probably within 1 to 2 years after that, and basically kind of give this character, who's been dormant for a few years now, a whole grand scale reboot. And I just kind of sat there when he was introduced. And he had a sick anime like segment to introduce him. I'm like, wow, that's cool animation. Too bad the movie's not going to look like that. I just sat there and went, yeah, this is just a commercial. This is everything I thought this first movie was going to be. It might even be worse than that too.
Yeah. No, really, what can be said about the Super Mario Galaxy movie? What can you say about it? There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing there. Because literally, Joe mentioned it, where it's like that bee subplot for like a minute. It just came by. I'm like, oh, did I fall asleep? No, I've been conscious this whole time because I've been hearing those kids yapping in the background, which is fine. They're like 5. I don't care. But I saw it in a theater full of children, little children, which it kind of makes me sad because I go back to Toy Story, which is intelligent storytelling, and then you take it back to this. And no, you can do stuff for the kids while still, if you raise them on the movies like this, then that's what you're going to get. That's the audience that you're fostering, and that is unfortunate. But I'm getting really ahead of myself. As for this movie in particular, it's not a terrible movie. It is competent. It's just without any kind of substance, it is depressing. It is sad. It is an overcorrection from those. I am not one of those people who will write an article on Polygon or whatever. I like Polygon, on Kotaku. I don't know, where it's like, you can hate on the 80s Mario movie all you want, but at least it was interesting. No. We don't need to do that. Both of them have their demerits. And it's sad that is the legacy that we have. And, Marvel, that is exactly the model that Nintendo is going for. They know for a fact, it's an objective fact. They have a really cool roster of characters. And it's unfortunate though that they're not doing anything cool with it. They are exploiting it. They are. And from a business standpoint, it's very effective. From a creative standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, from just a general arts, it's really not coming through for either of us, for any of us. And it's really, really unfortunate. And it makes me sad a little bit because this could have been something. Obviously, the story has yet to be fully written, but the way things are going, I think we can kind of tell where all of this is going, unless there's a major correction, unless someone pulls out an Andor out of this whole franchise.
That's the Star Fox movie. Just you wait.
Star Fox is the Andor of the Nintendo franchise. There's gonna be like fascism. There's gonna be sexual assault themes where it's like, holy shit. Anyway, Joe, I just linked to you a Wikipedia link.
That's all you have.
And there's a picture in there that I wanna highlight. They're really just kind of in a single picture can tell you how unfortunate, how tragic almost from an art standpoint of how this story can go. As per Wikipedia, the resolutions are very poor, but what you are hopefully seeing on screen is promotional artwork from Shigeshiya Nakaue. Sorry. And it is this very classic, harkens back to the original 80s box art from Super Mario World, I believe.
Yeah.
And you can see the character in this art style. It is simple. There's a lot of stuff going on here, of course, a lot of different types of characters, but there is a palette to it. You can recognize everyone so cleanly. You take a look at one frame from these Illumination movies, and it all just kind of blends together into this McFlurry of really ugly. And I choose McFlurry very specifically for its blandness, for how it all comes together in a way that just is not memorable for me. Joe, you mentioned it earlier. Yeah, that first movie, I did have some hope with it. I really did. There was heart in that first movie. Is it the kind of direction I would personally like to have seen the franchise go for? No, but you know what? I'm not the man in the arena.
Yeah.
I can understand what maybe these artists are going for here in a general sense.
Let me
Still
say
a
this
little
too.
generic.
Like when I hear like the Mario movies being made by Illumination, what we got with Galaxy is what I thought that first movie was gonna be. Like it's just
You
like
summed it
okay.
up perfectly. Yes, and that first movie, I'm not saying is a beacon, a sentinel for.
I
great
think it's one of
storytelling.
Illumination's best, honestly.
Funny enough, which just goes to show how low the bar is for that.
It's like that and Secret Life of Pets for me. That's about it.
Yeah, I did like Secret Life of Pets because it was an original. I don't know. But regardless, I mean, you could sure the Minions were an original property. I don't know. Anyway,
They don't feel like it now though.
exactly.
No,
that's
I
the
know,
thing.
right?
That's how fantastic you can. That's how incredible of a job Illumination is at genericizing everything. I hope that's a real word. You know what I mean by that. Anyway, I'll end my initial rant here by saying that Nintendo. The Mario, this probably should have been a whole different point. Sorry. Mario is iconic. We love Mario, legendary figure, the mascot for video games in general. He probably should be. If you think about it, traditional narratives doesn't really come through in any other way than it could have in a video game. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, yeah, when I finish a Mario game or a few Mario games, that's video gaming at its essence, at its classique. I don't know how the hell you tell the story in any other format. And these movies are beginning to vindicate that question, you know? So like Joe, I'll end my rant there for now.
It's so weird to me because I know people say like, well, there's no story to the game, so it's just like, what are they supposed to do? But I'm like, look, I know this is a TV show and you could do longer story format with it, but the Twisted Metal TV show on Peacock, that's actually genuinely like a good show. And they had to craft a story from the ground up, a world, everything. And they put effort into it. And it's like, you're telling me you can't do that with Mario? There's literally the Mario RPGs that have heavy stories, or Paper Mario that have heavy stories that you could draw inspiration from or do stuff like that. For God's sakes, the first movie at least had a semblance of a story. There's this item Bowser wants. He can't get it. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it was like literally like fucking Thanos getting the Infinity Stones. But like, at least it was something. Like, this, it's like, dude, like, yeah, the story's about them going to save Rosalina. What happens along the way there, though, it's all over the fucking place. You forget Rosalina's in the fucking movie. Like, when they're like, oh, we have to land on that planet because Rosalina's down there. I'm like, shit. I'm like, for the movie called Mario Galaxy, the game that she's introduced in, that's right, she's in this movie.
No disrespect to Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, who are the directors of this thing, but we are not going to get, and it's sad, but we're not going to get a Super Mario Bros movie helmed by somebody like Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who I know are very popular, like now, especially with Project Hail Mary. But my point is, it doesn't have to be them specifically, but you're not going to get a Pete Docter on this project because I think Nintendo is so protective of it. I mean, Christ, their logo not only appears at the beginning of the movie, but the president of Nintendo pops up in the credits. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I did not.
The president
I didn't bother.
of Nintendo pops up in the credits as well. Very early build.
Starts doing a direct like.
Thank you for seeing the Mario movie.
It kind of shows you though that like Nintendo would rather play this safe. And we mentioned some of the characters too as well. I think one character who is handled pretty well, admittedly, is Donald Glover's Yoshi. I think the highlight of the movie for me, as far as
Donald
sequences are
Glover's
concerned-
Yoshi.
Yeah. I should have said Yoshi, voiced by Donald Glover, but you get the picture. I loved Yoshi's introduction Like that's an
It was cute.
inspired
It was cute.
visual cue.
Yeah.
Kind of
But
reminded
why
me a
did
little
it
bit
have
of
to be
Spike Lee.
Donald Glover? That's the thing. That's the funny thing. I mean, look, honestly, on a meta scale, I do think that's funny. They just said, hey, you know all those reactions you had to the first movie? Fuck it. Donald Glover as Yoshi. So on a meta level, I get the joke
No,
that they're
I agree.
playing on that. I understand. But it didn't have to be Donald Glover.
Literally, Catherine and I were going into the movie, and we were talking about how, like, all these animated movies, they always, these studios feel compelled to get recognizable people to voice the characters and things like that. And it's funny because you never see, like, Rob Paulsen, who has voiced probably 400 different animated creatures across multiple decades. You never see, like, Rob Paulsen in a big budget animated movie. It's always people like Chris Pratt and even Anya Taylor-Joy and Brie Larson. I made the joke with Bowser Jr. is voiced by Benny Safdie. It's Mario Supreme. I made that joke too. But that's how it feels, though. Like, they got all these recognizable names. I'll be honest too. I still think one of my, besides Yoshi's amusing and everything too, I do think one of the characters that's really well illustrated, no pun intended, in this thing, and it was in the first one too. I think he's better in the first one, but he's pretty good here because he plays more of a duality as Bowser, as Jack Black's Bowser.
He's the only person with an arc in this movie.
Yeah, and his arc is the most interesting here, too. Like, Jack Black's vocal performance and range is good, too. But the only time this thing really feels like it has stakes is, like, Bowser torn between, like, living up to his son's vision of him and his, like, dastardly plans for this planet that this hellscape planet his son's created versus, like, his recognizing that Mario and Luigi have loaned him a hand and given him multiple opportunities to show the good in his heart. That stuff was really good. I will credit that. That was some of the most interesting, like, will he or won't he sort of dynamic in this movie, too. I did not expect Bowser to be as developed in this movie as he ultimately was, and I will credit the writing to that.
There was times, too, by the way, again, I don't know if the timer has popped up for you guys. It hasn't for me. It has. How much time we got?
It has 8:58.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right, good. Those were the moments of the movie that I actually was enjoying because I felt the same way, Steve. I was like, you know what? I'm like, I will give this movie more credit if he actually goes against his son and tells him, like, hey, look, like, I've changed. I've learned the errors of my way and everything. It's, and all that. And it was the only thing that actually made me go, well, at least there's there's an arc here. There's something for me to, like, follow. It's actually continuing as the movie goes on. It doesn't just wrap up like that. It's like, okay, like, they continuously play with it. It was the only thing that was giving me hope, honestly, as I was watching this movie. I was like, all right, maybe, just maybe, they could play this out to the very end. And they do. And, like, is it a satisfying payoff? Not really, but it was at least something. With that too, I will say, like, I enjoyed Yoshi's introduction. I think this time around, though, it's so weird to say this, but it's like Mario feels like an afterthought in this movie. Like, there's so much happening that Mario, like, he's on the title, and what's his arc? He wants to get a kiss from Princess Peach? Like, that's it? Like, bro, I do that in every game.
Make fun of Iron Man 2 or 3, not make fun of, but just, you can criticize Iron Man's 2 and 3 all you want. At least they still centered around Tony.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
They were very, like, he developed as a character in those films.
Like,
and it's made more noticeable. It's made more noticeable, I guess, for two reasons. One, because this isn't like the fifth Mario movie. This is the second. And he feels a little bit more marginalized. And secondly, I always got to bring it back to Arthur. It's not like by like season 10, 11, 12 of Arthur, where the show had gone on so long and all the characters had been developed where you could focus linear plot lines on others, and it could be you wouldn't feel the void of not having the title character in an episode or absent for a long period of time. It's not the case here, especially given the fact it's only the second movie.
And what's even crazier is all the new characters, except for one, who's Star Fox, which, again, why are you here? Not that I'm mad. Like, I had fun with Glenn Powell voicing him. I'm like, actually kind of fits. I'm like, I actually kind of dug the voice for him and everything.
Yeah, because it's literally just his character from Top Gun.
No, it really is. Like, when I saw him cast, I'm like, all right, like, that makes sense. Like, it just fits. But But like as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, damn, but like all the new characters here that were introduced, they're barely in the movie other than Bowser Jr. Like the Bee Queen, who they made a big deal, like we got Issa Rae to voice this character. One scene. Luis Guzman, he's gonna play, I forget what the hell that character is called, but like he's like Wart, thank you. He's gonna be in the movie, 2 scenes. Rosalina, played by Brie Larson, 2 scenes. It's just like, how the fuck does like
Jail.
Mario have like what's up?
Jail.
Yeah, jail. How the hell does Mario not have enough screen time when like almost all the characters he brought in? I mean, yeah, Yoshi's there the whole time, but Yoshi doesn't say he's a Groot, he's a Chewbacca. He's just there to say stuff like that. Like, it's just it's bonkers to me that it's just like, man, the guy's the titular character of the movie, and yet I'm like, man, Luigi's getting more to do than he is. He's like forming a friendship with Bowser in the movie and everything. He's helping Bowser work through his anger management issues. Let me know how you guys felt about this too. I think this movie's exhausting to watch, man. By the 18th action sequence in this movie, I was like, oh my God, can this please just end? Like, I wanted to get out of the theater so bad. Like, when, like, the next action sequence had to start, and the next one, and the next one, and it just kept going. I'm like, shit, just call this movie Super Mario Fury Road or something, man, because it's nonstop. But, like, and don't get me wrong, the action in this movie is animated so well, but I don't give a shit about what's happening on screen, and I'm getting exhausted because it's very loud. There's a lot of screaming, there's a lot of that, and it's just like, damn, with like Mad Max, even when there's action happening on the screen, they find a way even like to, like that whole oil tanker sequence from Furiosa. It's a long action sequence, but it gives you time to breathe during that action sequence when it's like they get like miles ahead of like people chasing them, and then they start catching up because the new vehicles are catching up to them, and it's like it gives you time to breathe. This, I mean, it's like all in your face, and it's just like, oh my God, dude, give me a minute, please.
Yeah, you really feel it too a little bit when Toad gets his bag stolen. When Toad Toad gets his bag stolen, and they like, and again, I haven't played the Mario Galaxy games, but like they go through like this like dystopian Tokyo, and then like they end up in Wart's sort of cavernous
Jabba's palace.
Cubic like casino Vegas style like atrium.
Yeah.
And you're taken through like all the worlds there because Toad gets his bag stolen by a monkey, which I will admit I did laugh at the line that monkey used his cuteness for crime.
Yeah, that was a funny line, yeah.
I will admit this movie isn't devoid of kitschy one-liners, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But
No, it's not a terrible movie.
it's not. It really isn't.
It's just devoid of anything of substance, which sounds so fucking pretentious for me to say. I sound like an asshole when I say it. I do.
I've been struggling with this for 16 years now. I understand.
I'm not here. I'm not gonna yell at the children in the theater. Going like,
you should know better.
Yeah. No,
Old man
of
yells
course
at children.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fine. Literally, the keys jangling kind of movies have been made since the dawn of time. It's fine. It's the dawn of the medium, right? I'm not inherently upset about that. It's just a little tragic because Mario is a big freaking deal. And how cool would it have been if we got art that's more true to that's more honest and true to its roots? What if we had voice actors who do more than a serviceable job? And what if we got a plot that was more stripped? What if I don't know. I think the first time we got a couple minutes here, but the first movie, I think I mentioned like, hey, what if they worked with Studio Ghibli instead of Illumination? How freaking awesome would that have been, right? What if we had something a little less
I always said
commercial?
DreamWorks should have done this. DreamWorks would have been perfect.
It's true. Because at times I have to remind
holy
myself
shit.
it's not a DreamWorks movie.
Realistically, I mean, look, the Ghibli thing that's a pipe dream. Actually, you're really upsetting me now because that actually could have been possible.
It's right. I mean, it's Universal. It's Universal owned too.
God
and you
damn
think
it.
to like the Puss in Boots movie that came out recently, The Wild Robots, like they would have ran with this.
The timelines were off. If Miyamoto had waited another like decade, because DreamWorks was in the mud for a long time, and then they got good.
Yeah.
They got real good suddenly.
Would Blue Sky have done better by this material?
They did great
Maybe,
with
maybe.
the Charlie Brown stuff. I think so.
I
That's
haven't
true.
seen those, but I hear good things about them. So
That's
I don't
true.
know. We
The
got a
Peanuts
minute
movie.
here. So
Yep.
yeah.
Real quick before we cut to break, marinate over this while we go to intermission. You two, let's compare this because I know we're probably a little bit tapped on like full thoughts and everything like that. We're probably just about as tapped on that. Marinate over this. Let's talk about over this because I think we like the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Why do the
Oh my
Sonic the
God,
Hedgehog
thank you.
movies work better than the Mario Brothers movies? Let's
I have my
marinate over
answer.
that. We'll marinate over that. I'm going to let you two talk when we come back from intermission. You give your answers first. We will be back here in just a couple of minutes at Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube.
Ever when things were just so slapdash at the last minute. No, a 3.5 out of 4 stars. This was great.
Really great discussion, guys. We will move forward, briefly touch on this. I do want to give this a little bit of time because we mentioned it about a month ago, and there's been a not totally an update, but a bigger, more deep dive on it. It's less a news story now, and it's becoming more of a feature. Really, thanks to this excellently made Variety piece by Adam B. Very. It has to deal with the Blair Witch Project actors, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I'm friends with Joshua Leonard on Facebook, so I saw when he posted this initially, this whole thing of calling out Blumhouse and calling out the studio behind the Blair Witch Project as well, which was Artisan Entertainment at the time, for not giving them their royalties and really not getting due compensation for a movie that was generationally effective, made hundreds of millions of dollars, and is still an ensuing cultural staple that now has a sequel and a soft reboot made since then. The title of the article is called "The Blair Witch Project Actors Call Out Quote Unquote Reprehensible Behavior After Missing Out on Profits for Decades." This is an exclusive to Variety by Adam B. Very. What basically Adam B. Very did was he got the 3 actors, Joshua Leonard, Michael C. Williams, and Ray Hance, formerly Heather Donahue, all together on Zoom to talk about exactly what they are demanding from Artisan, now Lionsgate, and Blumhouse, mainly Lionsgate, because Lionsgate really just came to an agreement with Blumhouse to try to reboot the movie again and make another movie. And it's coming up on the 25th anniversary of Blair Witch. This is the 25th anniversary year of that movie. So basically the 3 actors wrote an open letter to Lionsgate on April 20th requesting quote unquote meaningful consultation on any future Blair Witch related projects that would likely result in the use of their names and faces, and requesting retroactive and future residual payments for the movie, quote unquote, equivalent to the sum that would have been allotted through SAG-AFTRA had we had proper union or legal representation when the film was made. The key point to understanding this is you have to go back to when the Blair Witch Project was made and released. We were young. So when we learned about this, the buzz was long over. But basically, in 1999, the internet wasn't what it was today. This was a movie made on a shoestring budget that got 3 basically theater actors involved in the production of this movie. They were given cameras and they were given a script outline for what they had to reenact in the woods. And it was the producers and the very few people, limited crew members behind it that were making those sort of stick figure things and hanging them throughout the woods and kind of giving them a guided map on where to go. When the movie premiered at Sundance Film Festival, it was passed off as a real life student movie. And the actors had to go into hiding pretty much after the movie came out for about 9-10 months because it had to make it look like they were missing and presumed dead. Well, obviously, consequently, then they thought, well, we're going to go into hiding. This movie's going to get acquired, which it did by Artisan Entertainment. We're going to get money from this then eventually because they can't work. Yeah. They can't really work. They can't work in the entertainment industry, rather, at the time. One of the most moving parts of this long piece is when Michael C. Williams, the actor who plays Mikey in the movie, they all play their real character names. Love my webcam going out right now. He says, though, and I quote, I'm embarrassed that I let this happen to me. He said, you've got to put stuff away because you're a fucking loser if you can't, because everybody's wondering what happened and your wife's in the grocery line and she can't pay because a check bounced. You're in the most successful independent movie of all time and you can't take care of your loved ones. And that's really I think the most powerful part of this whole thing. Back and better than ever, it's Sleepless with Steve. We're live on YouTube on this Wednesday evening talking the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I posed a question to the panel, to Joe and Dom, as we headed into intermission here. Why do we think the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and there's been 3 of them at this time, there's been 2 Mario Brothers movies, why do we think the Sonic the Hedgehog movies work, whereas the Mario movies were like positive with reservations on the first, and we're all sort of in agreement on sort of the middling nature of the sequel? Dom, I'll start with you.
Yeah, because the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, they have heart, which sounds esoteric, I know, or very out there of a reason, but they really do. They have a story that is focused, and it is direct, and it has characters that they made up for the movie.
Yeah.
Human characters and even other animated characters that serve a purpose for the plot. They're not just stuffing them the fuck in there for just to check off a list. Now, you have to do that a little bit. Sure. Eventually, in the other movies, Tails, Shadow, Knuckles, you got to get there at some point. But they took their goddamn time with it, and they did shit with all of them. That's my answer.
How about you, Joe?
I could flat out just agree with Dom and just be like, hey, Dom nailed it perfectly there. But I'll throw this instead on there. Everything Dom said.
Agree, not disagree.
Agree. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
I
think
you
said disagree.
No. The Sonic movies, there's no way.
You're good.
Like tomato score wise, like all that shit. Like it's they're better. Like they're better. I'm not even crazy about the first Sonic movie. But 2 and 3 are definitely a much better movie than both Mario movies. I'll say this. I think it comes back to what we started with at the start of this review. Nintendo's very protective over Mario. Sega will take risk with Sonic. They'll license him out to stuff. They'll be like, hey, Sonic wants to fight the Predator? Go right ahead. Like, it's just like Sega will be like, hey, this fan wants to make a fan game where Sonic is murdered on a boat and you have to figure out who did it. Yeah, we'll license the characters out. That sounds pretty cool. Let them do that. And it's
Sonic the Homicide.
Yeah, there you go. Who killed Captain Sonic?
The game is called The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I did not know about this.
They've done tons of, when the Shadow game came out, Shadow Generations and everything, like they did a whole promotion with YouTubers on there who are animators, and they allowed them to just have free liberty of like, I mean, obviously they couldn't do anything crude with the characters, like, they couldn't have like, Sonic saying the F word and stuff, but like the animators got to have a lot of fun animating the Sonic characters in their art style. And it was actually a commercial for Shadow Generation. So, like, Sega's always been cool. So when, Paramount comes to them and they're like, hey, we want to make a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Shit, we saw how Sonic was going to look in that first movie. You could tell, like, hey, we're going to do it. Like, and it's only because fans spoke out. They're like, oh, okay, we should probably take this more seriously and change how he looks and everything. Like, you can just see that Sega's willing to take a risk. They were willing to take a risk and be like, we'll make Sonic look more humanoid. Oh my God, the internet's on fire. We probably shouldn't do that. All right. But like, I think that's why they're better. They're like, okay, yeah, rather than setting the movie only in Green Hill Zone and it's animated the whole time, which is what I said a Sonic movie should always be. It turns out you could set a Sonic movie in our world and make it work. Not that first one, but 2 and 3, yeah, it worked. And I've always been clamoring, dude, if you make a Mario movie, make it animated and keep it in the Mushroom Kingdom. Oddly enough, the movie that takes place in the Mushroom Kingdom and also like beyond the Mushroom Kingdom, the whole time I felt like was like, oh my God, this is like what I wanted as a kid, but this is all over the damn place.
Yeah.
That's very well said. I agree with you too, Joe. I think that like dropping Sonic into like this remarkably unremarkable remote town in Montana was like a creative decision weird enough to work.
Yeah.
And I also think, and this is not to say, because this is kind of sounds weird too, but like, because I think Bowser is a good villain in the movies. I do. I think he's a quality villain, especially here. I think he's one of the best parts of the movie. Robotnik, Jim Carrey's Robotnik is so good. Like, he's so good. He anchors that movie into another dimension where, like, and what the thing is, which is a tricky thing, which I bet a lot of writers don't love to do. Like in Marvel, there's the common villain of Thanos, but there's other villains too.
Yeah.
There's the overarching Thanos, and then there's other villains too. Sonic keeps going back to the same villain, but in doing that, you have to give the villain something new to do. Like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 might be my favorite of the three, not only because we get Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Shadow, and they all feel clearly defined, but you get Robotnik and his grandfather, which is so bizarre, but it allows for new comic possibilities and just enough weirdness into the mix that you don't know where it's going to go.
May I argue?
Feel like it's firing on different cylinders.
May I argue the fact too that this movie kind of does the same thing with Bowser Jr. to Bowser and how Bowser Jr. looks up to his father, but the way that Gerald Robotnik and whatever his grandfather's name is, I can't believe I said Gerald Robotnik. Oh my god!
Because you got it. It's Ivo and Gerald.
There we go. Yeah, the way he looks up to his grandfather and how that's played out it's way more fleshed out. It's way more focused in Sonic 3, and I think has a better
I feel like
payoff.
we're in English class. Can you draw parallels between the?
Bro, my film professor would have shot me if I would have made this comparison in his class. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's just they're willing to take more risk with that and just be like, okay, yeah, we'll let Jim Carrey do a twin world where he'll play an older character and everything. I will say this though too, not to keep harping on the Sonic movies, and I'd rather talk about them at this point too. I do think though, if Jim Carrey wasn't in the Sonic movies, I'd probably be a little bit less interested in them. Like, it's just like he is such a big factor for me to be like, I really want to go see that because every movie he's so good.
They would be lesser movies, no doubt, but at the core of it, they would still be solid.
They would. I can't deny that.
They have a narrative structure. They have character period. Just character development, let alone good character development.
Yeah.
And some of the funny parts may not land the second time, right? That whole dance sequence in Russia or whatever. It's like, all right, sure, that's fun, maybe once. But if I were watching it, I might skip that part. But it's fine. You know, the rest of it is still solid, right?
I thought you were going to say the dance sequence in 3 with the two Robotniks. I'm like, no, I love that scene. I'm like, that scene's great. But yeah, the animated one and 2.
Tails and Sonic dance in Siberia.
Yeah. Which 2 is my favorite of the 3, but regardless, yeah.
No, I kind of figured where we were leaning, or at least I was leaning on that too, but I do think the comparison's true. Because if you think to the Sonic games as well, not all of them are amazingly good. There's that famous one. I bought it and played it just for the hell of it. There's the famous Sonic it's called Sonic the Hedgehog, but Sonic 06.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sonic 06 on Xbox 360 where he's in the real world.
Incredibly bad.
Really
Nothing redeeming
weird. Really weird game. And it's so funny too, the fact that like they put the movies in the real world after that one when they're in the real world, and it's so bizarre.
Yeah,
it's a strange game, but it shows you that like the stranglehold is not the same on Sonic as it is on Mario. It's a lot more intense on Mario, and what you get is a movie like this, like Dom, and I've heard this term before. The jangling keys, you know what I mean, where there's a lot of different Easter eggs, there's a lot of fluttering diversions and everything. They just don't mesh into a super cohesive whole. And the thing is, it's not, granted, I'd rather it be middling than bad, but because of that, there's just not a lot to talk about, and there's not a lot to remember, consequently. And I kind of think, though, that, like, you know, you're seeing the money these movies are making, though. There's no advantage to take any creative risks now, as far as it goes. There's a status quo now that I think will be maintained throughout this. I don't know if we do get any spin-off movies, what direction they would take, but, like, is planes better than cars? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you want to put all your stock in? Is Solo better than the Star Wars movies? Do you want to put your faith in the spinoffs? I wonder if there will come a jumping off point for me with these movies. I wonder. I feel like I have enough, like, one more in me in some ways to see what they do. That way it feels like a trilogy, like, but overall as it stands, and I didn't even really talk about Star Fox because, Joe, you really stole everything I wanted to say about Star Fox. The only thing that's nice about that is that they give him a different visual style.
Yeah.
That's probably the only thing.
Yes,
I'm like,
and I was looking at that flashback the whole time. I'm like, you could make the whole movie like this. You could just do it.
Dude, I'll give Illumination all the credit in the world if they release the Star Fox movie and it looks like that. I'll be like, all right, you got me.
It struck me as like back when like Hawkeye used to be a secondary player in like Marvel movies, or like Black Widow was a secondary player in some Marvel movies. They didn't have faith that they could sustain their own lucrative movie, so they just threw them into an already established property that really didn't feel connected. Either way, though, Super Mario Galaxy movie for me is 2 out of 4 stars. We'll go Joe, then Dom for final thoughts.
When the movie finished and I stayed for both of its stingers and everything, I was like, okay, yeah, let's get this done with and out of the way. I sent a photo of a crowbar to my friends, and I'm like, this is the pen they used to write the movie. Because I didn't want to be mean, because there was a bunch of kids who came to the screening.
Half-Life 3?
Yeah, Half-Life 3 confirmed. Guys, if this show couldn't get any more nerdier with video games. I didn't want to be mean to because the kids that I saw this with at the birthday party and everything, like, they were loving it. They were eating it up, man.
Sure, good for them.
So I didn't want to ruin the moment and be like, how dare you? Like, so I sent a photo to my friends of a crowbar. I'm like, this is the pen they wrote to write the movie with. Because this movie, I can talk about in great detail about how much shit they crowbarred in from the games into this movie, and it's just like, wow, like, in the game that's such a big moment, and it's like only in here for like 10 seconds, like a fucking dragon shows up, and I'm just like, dude, this is like a big huge boss sequence in one of the games, and it's so sick and cool, and we're never gonna see it again now. I can go on a whole list of that, but like that's gonna be too nerdy, and Steve doesn't want to hear that. All you need to know is they wrote a crowbar with this movie. And with that doesn't mean that everything doesn't work. We talked about how the Bowser stuff was pretty solid. There's some jokes in here that genuinely made me laugh out loud. There's some one-liners in here from Luigi that made me laugh. The whole scaredy cat like personality thing still, like, it still gets like a few chuckles out of me. I do love, the opening animated sequence with Yoshi. That was making me laugh and kind of smile throughout. It's, in terms of animation, it looks gorgeous at times. It really does. I'm not going to take that away. And the action sequences are animated wonderfully. But yeah, by the end of it, I am just kind of like, I am tired of watching this. I'm like, I really want this to wrap up. And even though I would give movies where I'm like, I'm tired, I want to get out of here, I would give them such a low score on Sleepless. I will give this 2 out of 4 stars because I felt, like I said, the first third, it was winning me over, and I'm like, okay, you know what? They might stick the landing here again. I think they can do it. But the second act plays out, and it's discombobulated, and by the third act, I was like, this just needs to wrap up. Thank God it's under 2 hours. Otherwise, it probably would have been a lower rating for me. So 2 out of 4 stars.
Just one quick point I'll say, because this was my worst point about my sorest point about the first movie, is they significantly toned down the use of licensed music.
They did.
And they did a couple times. You know what? Fine.
But it wasn't as outrageous.
It wasn't as outrageous. And they dropped it. They were like going full, like, actually what they should have done the first time. So I'll give you kudos for correcting something that you did not have to do the first time. Fine. Sure. Good work. As for this movie as a whole, this is a very effective product, but it fails its legacy. It fails its name. And it's so sad. And again, I sound like a pretentious idiot saying that. And, out of context, I'll look at clips. I'm sure I could look at a clip of me saying that and be like, oh, that's cringe. But no, really, think about what this could have been. Think about what Mario means to everyone, to everything. And in not just in video games, but what he represents as video games to, I don't know, freaking humanity, man. That's what it could have been. It really could. I mean, freaking when the Olympics were announced in Japan, or rather, it was the end of the Brazilian Olympics and the announcement of the, you know how they hand over, they had a whole sequence of the now assassinated prime minister as Mario, and like, oh, that's what he means to people, right? To the world. So it's just unfortunate. I have to give it 1.5 out of 4 stars. It's not a terrible movie, but I have to give it that. I think I gave the first movie 2.
You gave it 2.5 with
tepid
me.
2. Yeah, that feels right to
Yeah.
me.
Both you and I were in
tandem.
tandem. You gave it 2.5, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay, sure. But this was just so disappointing that I'll give it a 1.5 out of 4. I feel comfortable giving it that.
I was close to giving it 2, and by the end of the year, it might go down there and end up on my war stuff list. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's the Super Mario Galaxy movie in a nutshell. Next week, it is the drama with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. Looking forward to it. TBD. Might be a Tuesday show, might be a Thursday show. We will figure that out over the weekend. We'll solidify that when we can, but might be a different time next week. Either way, though, it's on me because I'm forcing rearranging of this show so we can talk about the drama as a trio because I'm super excited to chat about that. I think that it's a movie that definitely could have a legacy and is also a movie too. I've seen. I don't say this very often. And it's not like I guess it hasn't struck me as much, but I just want to say this. I feel like general audiences, the stuff I've seen about it on Twitter and Letterboxd, I feel like that sort of like level of criticism and dissection of the movie has impressed me more than a lot of critics.
Yeah, I agree.
I think a lot of critics have sort of written this one off in a weird way, in a strange way that I can't recall, where they deem it like provocative, and that's kind of where their assessment stops. And okay. I'm very interested. I don't like to call out my kin, if I will, but no, I've seen the best stuff I've seen on this movie has come from places like Letterboxd and
my own friends, honestly, too, gave a better analysis and dissection of this movie than like the Rolling Stones review I was reading.
Catherine and I had a great conversation about it too. Like, I mean, I feel like general audiences are just getting this movie a hell of a lot more than the critics. And it's not that it's gotten bad reviews either. It really hasn't. It's gotten like mixed positive, but it strikes me. It's something that it's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to unpack. There's a lot of drama in next week's show talking about the drama. So I'm very excited about that. This is Sleepless with Steve. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday evening, 6:30 Central Time. Appreciate you watching. For Joe Viso, Dominic Guanzon, and yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.